Hello, bonjour, and welcome to your new wine video. I'm your host, Julien, and this is going to be part 1 of a 3-part series where we will consider everything that you should know about aging and cellaring your wine. Today we are going to be looking at which wines you should be cellaring or not and why. In the next video we will look at what happens in your wine through aging inside a bottle, and finally in part 3 I will detail how you should or shouldn't store your wine, the ideal storage conditions and how long to cellar your wine for. But let's start with today's topic, which wines to cellar or not. As usual, I will break things down into small chapters to keep things simple and digestible for you. Let's go! My fellow wine-loving friends, Julien here. Before we get started with the video, there is something that you have to know about. This video was made possible by the Bonner Private Wine Partnership, and the reason I work with them is not just because it's been called the most unique wine club in America, but because they truly love the wines that they choose for you. Founded by Will Bonner, the partnership is a small group of wine lovers who have come together to import excellent small batch wines that might otherwise get completely overlooked by large importers. They get them. Right now you can get your hands on 3 rare extreme altitude red wines from Argentina, from some of the purest, highest vineyards in the entire world, way up in the Andes Mountains. No middlemen, no additive packed supermarket wines here, no inflated costs. Plus you'll get exclusive access to more wine education videos from me, just like the one you're about to watch, to make sure you become an educated wine connoisseur. So make sure to check out the link in the video description to see if you want to become partner in something truly special in the world of wine. But for now, back to your video. Let's clear things up straight away. It is generally considered that 99% of all wines that are produced and that you buy are not really made for the purpose of being aged. In most cases, wine is not a mystical beverage that always improves with time and forever. I mean, it is in a way for sure, it's got this magical, mystical element, but in fairness, in reality, not always. So let's have a closer, reasonable look at it. Most wines are drunk very shortly, and that's just the reality of it, after their purchase. Often we drink a wine the day or the week we buy it, right? Or generally speaking, most wines are just being enjoyed within a year or 2, if that, after being bought at the wine shop. So essentially, winemakers make the wines that satisfy that purpose. Wines that are enjoyable to drink just as you buy it, wines that are smooth and expressive and open even at a young age. Winemakers make the wine that we ask them to do and that consumers want. That said, virtually all wines are able to withstand 2 or 3 years of storing in reasonably good cellaring condition. That's, not too hot a corner of the house and not under direct sunlight. Now, rosés and light whites may deteriorate and lose some of their appeal and the freshness of their use very, very quickly, even within these 2 or 3 years. But generally speaking, you are going to be able to store and keep your wines and enjoy them for within this time frame of 2 or 3 years. As a good rule of thumb, you can consider that wines that are priced at around $30 and under are really not meant to be enjoyed or aged beyond those 2 or 3 years. Then even a little bit above the $30 mark, say $30 to $50, the majority of wines won't really benefit from aging beyond, say, 5 to 7 years. Only very specific types of wines that are considered super premium and in certain categories or style will actually improve with longer aging. Styles that have been acknowledged as being age-worthy. So those will be European classic styles, such as the whites of Bordeaux and the reds of Bordeaux as well. Together with Burgundy, if we're talking about France, you will have the Spanish reds of Rioja, for example, which are really, really age-worthy wines. Some specific Italians, such as the Barolos, some Chiantis, the Brunelos, you will obviously find many California Chardonnays, you will have all the super premium reds from around the world as well, including California, the Cabernets, the Merlots, the Pinots that you know, but you will also have some Australian Shiraz or ultra premium South American red blends, just to name a few. So there are quite a few age-worthy wines, but they are very specific. Most white wines do not age very well, even less than reds, and that's generally speaking. Although some specific styles of whites are designed for that purpose, for aging, they can improve with age, but they are really rare. So those are generally barrel fermented whites. The wine is actually fermented in the barrel, which exposes the wine to oxygen during its making, during the winemaking process, which makes them stronger for aging later on. Those are whites such as the high-end Chardonnays in California, as we talked about, or Burgundy, or some barrel fermented Sauvignon Blancs, California, Bordeaux. You will have some similar barrel fermented styles as well found in Rioja, and some made from the Rhone grape varieties such as the Viogniers, the Marsans, the Roussanne. Those can sometimes substantially improve and develop, complexify with age. Now if we talk about rosés, well, apart from very rare exceptions, well, rosé wines are just not meant to be aged, and they must, or ideally, be drunk within a year of their release. So say you buy a rosé now that was made in September last year, 2018, well, it will be best drunk this summer over the course of this year, 2019. Now, champagnes and other quality sparkling wines, generally speaking, can age extremely well for a very long time, and that's due to their first high level of acidity and the presence of obviously carbon dioxide inside the bottle, protecting the wine from oxidation. It just pushes the oxygen away from the wine, and that helps preserving it. But, and there is a big but, champagnes are particularly well they age particularly well when they're cellared on their lees. So the lees are the deposit of yeasts that are used to ferment the wine inside the bottle and to create the bubbles. These deposit of lees protect the wine from oxidation, but the champagnes age well when they are on their lees. So essentially only the wineries themselves can age their own sparkling wines very successfully for a very, very long period of time. Also, if we're talking of Champagne France in particular, well, they have the advantage of having some very dark and cool underground cellars with, those galleries that are dug into limestone rocks, which are really cool and a little bit humid. Well, cool, but with some humidity, which provide the perfect conditions for slowly maturing, especially the prestige cuvées, the very elegant and well-crafted champagne cuvées. This is why you will find some releases of old vintages champagnes, and sometimes champagnes that are several decades old, released by the winery directly. But if you buy a bottle of champagne just like this one at your local store, well, the lees or the yeasts inside the bottle, the sediments have been removed from the wine, and the wine comes under a cork. So some oxygen will start slowly entering, diffusing into the bottle through the cork, and start aging the wine. So because sparkling wines are quite subtle in their flavor profile, they are also rather fragile, and they will generally evolve rather quickly in your cellar. It's not to say that you can't keep a bottle of wine like this one for again another 2 or 3 years. The wine will be perfectly fine, but generally once a bottle has been released onto the market and it's in your hand, it has left the winery cellar, it is ready to be enjoyed, it's been crafted, it's been designed to be drunk within those 2 or 3 years if you want to enjoy that freshness, the zinginess and the acidity and all the goodness of the fruity characters that it's got. If you wait longer than this, the wine will start fading a little bit away. It's going to develop some more nutty characters and a bit of waxy characters. That is not of everyone's taste. And that was it for me today. Those were the general rules about which wines you should cellar and which wines you should not cellar, with a few hints at why. Now, next week, with part 2 of this series about the evolution of wine through aging, we will be digging a little bit deeper, looking at what happens inside a bottle of wine as wine matures, which is going to help us understanding further how wine evolves over time, you know, the evolution of color, the evolution of the flavor profile, and the structure, the texture of the wine. We are going to be looking at all of this, which is going to help us understand how wine evolves over time, and more importantly, even it's going to help us deciding how long to store a particular wine inside our cellar. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you soon next week with a great pleasure digging further into our understanding of wine. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week. Cheers. Santé.